Arielle was born in '89, and in 1994, 4.5 years later, I had Michael, and 2 years later, I had Andrew. When Arielle was diagnosed with cancer, Michael was 3.5, and Andrew was 16 months old. Arielle was a bright little child, always from day one, from being born until the day that she passed. She was loving. She loved her family. She loved her friends. She loved going to school. She loved butterflies and swimming and dancing and singing and just being really happy. She was just a happy little girl. We found out that Arielle had Ewing's sarcoma when she was just shy of 8 years old. And again, being a very active little girl, she was involved in gymnastics and dance at the time of her diagnosis. And she did a belly flop on the vault. We thought she was going to get a bruise. A week later, she was screaming in pain that her leg hurt. And we had brought her to the physician, and they diagnosed her with, after an MRI, with Ewing's sarcoma. Ewing's sarcoma is a very rare bone cancer. It can happen in the bone or in the soft tissue. And at this moment, there really is no cure, although they are making strides. She was such an amazing, courageous, brave little child. I have never seen anyone like it, and I don't think I could ever do what she did. We were all devastated, obviously, when you get the news that your child has cancer. And being 7, just shy of 8, she didn't really understand what that meant at first. But they grow up very quick, and clinical cancer 101 is thrown into our laps immediately, and she took charge. She became very in charge of her body, and she learned very quickly how to adapt and how to take care of her own person as far as flushing her own lines, and wouldn't let the nurses touch her Hickman line and everything. So she was very meticulous and particular, and I give her a lot of credit for that. I really do. She was amazing, but she had her moments, and we all did. But we never took away that hope, and she always had the hope that she was going to beat it. The stress is amazing. The kind of stress that a family has to deal with when their child is dealing with any kind of illness is grave. It's just, you really need to have a partnership and be very open and honest with all your feelings and talk about it as much as possible. The psychology of that, helping the family through, I think is very important to keep the family dynamic together. Celine Dion was Arielle's favorite artist and is still one of my favorite artists. And we were fortunate enough to be able to meet her backstage at a concert, and she was gracious enough to give us a phone call the day that Arielle passed away. She was able to speak with her on the telephone. She passed just after her 11th birthday. I would like people to remember Arielle as being a fun-loving girl who loved her family and friends, loved her butterflies, and was very brave going through all of her cancer treatment. The Arielle Courageous Award is through Bank Shots, and Bank Shots is a handicap basketball program originally started out through Rabbi Reeve Brenner in Maryland, and he developed this program so that handicap people who want to play sports could play interactively with able-bodied people. And he met Arielle as he was the chaplain in the hospital where Arielle was attending in Maryland, and he was smitten with her, and he just decided to name an award after her. All 3 of my children were fortunate to have swim lessons through the Baby Otter Swim School in Davie, Florida, under Mindy York and Marlene Bloom. They are the owners. And again, they loved Arielle so much that they wanted to name a scholarship after her for underprivileged children who could not afford to have swim lessons.
Arielle fits a very important part of our Baby Otter Scholarship and Education Fund. In her memory, we have established a scholarship in her name for underprivileged children. Arielle was, she was I think like 2 years old or something when we first started working with her. And Mindy had her mainly and just did a phenomenal job, and she was, loved the water. She cried like everyone else did at the beginning, but after that she ended up loving the water and just having the best time. Oh, she always had a smile on her face. She was just vibrant and just a wonderful young lady.
One of Arielle's best friends, Casey Mr. Lee, was in 3rd grade with Mrs. Carruthers, the environmental teacher, and when Arielle was in the hospital, they all knew that we were butterfly gardeners and loved butterflies so much they thought they could honor Arielle again by putting in a butterfly garden at school. And that became the Arielle Anacker Butterfly Garden, and that was dedicated to Arielle in December of 2000 prior to her passing. And we are now coming full circle after 10 years, and we will be rededicating the garden.
The garden was started 10 years ago in honor of one of our students who at that time was suffering from a severe form of cancer. And she loved butterflies, and so the school got together under the direction of Mrs. Diane Carruthers, our environmental sponsor, and put together a butterfly garden. And when Arielle was well enough, she would come out and work in the garden or talk to other people about it or just plain old enjoy being in it.
I'm so happy to tell you that I knew Arielle, and she was in 2nd and 3rd grade, and she was in Mrs. Delavo's class, but she came to me for reading, so I got to work with her. When Casey and Mr. Lee told us, and Casey was in an environmental club, how much she loved butterflies, she said, let's plant a butterfly garden. So we walked around with all the children in the environmental club, and this is where they chose. And because everyone would see it every day, and that was something that was really important. And Arielle, when she knew this garden was being made for her, I think it just really did light up her life.
She was such a wonderful student, a student, always loving and caring and kind. And it was such an honor to be able to work with her. I truly miss her, and she would always be in my thoughts.
Just prior to Arielle passing away, we had opened a trust fund because we were having problems paying our bills from the insurmountable bills that we were getting from her treatment. And we had family and friends that were helping with car washes and bake sales and card parties and different things through the school. So I promised Arielle before she passed that we would open a cancer foundation one day in her name to be able to help other needy pediatric cancer families pay their bills and pay it forward, and also to try to support Ewing sarcoma research so that no other child would have to suffer like she did, and we can try to find a cure. My main message for people is to understand that when a family is hit with the news that their child has cancer, that they're not alone, and that we are here to help them. The Arielle Anacker Cancer Foundation's main mission is to help these families pay their bills. We were there, we know how hard it is, and if we can just help you take away some of that stress so that you can spend more quality time with your child and not have to worry about how you're going to pay the next bill, because we know that it could be a one family income or a two family income that now all of a sudden becomes a one family income or a zero family income. We want to be able to be there to help these families. People can donate to our foundation by calling 954-419-9636 or going on our website for our address at www.arielleanackercancerfoundation.org, and that's ARIELLEANACKER cancerfoundation.org.